are, 1974 to 2024. How did that happen? So fast. Somebody pointed out the other day that when we graduated from high school, the people who were celebrating their 50-year reunion were the class of 1921. Doesn't that make you feel even better? Well, for those of you who I have not said hello, I am Debbie Easton Bentley, and the committee, in their infinite wisdom, for some reason, decided that I should MC this program. I think they might have been at sipping paint, but got the two things mixed up. I don't know how it actually happened, but anyway. So I was thinking about this whole situation of it being 50 years, and I thought back to how excited we were to be seniors. Remember that? And now they're going to call us seniors for the rest of our lives. I'm not so sure about that particular part of this. But, you know, there were so many pictures back there. If you haven't seen them all, you really need to do that. And I want to point out right up front, Kathy Atherton, Wolfgang. I mean, talk about somebody nose to the grindstone and just having a vision and letting it all out and coordinating all the efforts with the help of all of the rest of the committee and the leadership of our Judy Steer. I mean, she just kept us on task, and meetings, you know, we had a tendency to start reminiscing, and she'd say, okay, back to the agenda. And that was very, very helpful. So anyway, in the process of putting all of this together, there were some things that I thought maybe we should take a look at again. And one of those is our class motto. I don't know if you remember this or not. It was on one of the pages in the, okay, it's the middle one. The middle switch back there. If somebody wouldn't mind grabbing that just temporarily. Okay, we'll turn it back on when Cheryl comes up. Okay, thank you. All right, so we know what we have been, we know not what we may be. All right, remember that? Now, you know, it occurred to me that for some of us, we not only knew who we were, but we also, it was very predictable who we were going to be. For example, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to have the opportunity to see one of my former neighbors again, Pat McMahon. I haven't seen him in years. He was like 5 houses down or so. There he is, right there.
And why are you doing this?
And why am I doing this to you? Because I want everybody to know that on the way to the school bus every morning, Pat sang the Marine hymn. And every night when we got off the school bus, Pat sang the Marine hymn. And the thing of it is, Pat has had an outstanding military career, found his lovely wife of 46 years in the military as well. And so for some of us, you know, early on, we not only knew who we have been, but who we were going to be. Now some of the rest of us, I don't know about you, but I didn't go to college right away. I didn't know what I wanted to do and wasn't going to waste money. So, you know, I worked in a sewing factory putting in zippers. I still have nightmares. There was a reason I didn't go toward the home ec route because it's just not my thing. Finally realized that I needed to have a career where I talk to people, and you know, for the last 40-some years, that's what I've been doing. And I guess I'm going to keep doing it until they tell me I don't make sense anymore. But some of us didn't go that college route. In fact, some of us built dynasties and empires without it, Miss Lori Weingart. And Mr. Joe Charchon. And others of us consider our dynasty, well, to be the family that certainly, back in 1974, we hoped for, but didn't necessarily envision, but now we know. Right now we know. They all look like, what they all sound like, what they're all into, how aggravating they can be. But now we know, right? So those origins that we had together, though, these are some things that we didn't realize at the time. But we had a motivational speaker who actually told us, what our path was supposed to be, and that was to bring home the bacon, whatever that looks like in whatever form, and whatever anybody's definition of success is all about. We're still bringing home the bacon. I mean, the fact that so many of us are here together tonight says a lot about the unity that we once had. There's no doubt about it. My husband went to Kent Roosevelt High School, and he's actually graduated about 6 years after we did. Does that make me a cougar?
Good job!
All right, thank you very much. Anyway, his class talks about how close they were, but we were such a close class. And I don't say anything because I'm outnumbered. But usually I think, you people have no idea. You have no idea. I'd like to see, how many of you are there in 50 years, just like we are here tonight. But it's interesting too that when we look back, there are some pictures like this one that, some of you over there, I apologize for the position of the screen. Craig Wheeler and I spent 3 hours yesterday trying to figure out where we were going to put the projector and the screen. So anyway, okay, so left to right, who knows who, this is, by the way, the kindergarten carpool to the Presbyterian Church in Salem. All right? Okay, from left to right, who knows who that is on the left? It's Randy Mosier. Yeah, I heard it. Okay, and the second from the left?
John Kerr.
John Kerr. Now see, isn't that interesting that not only do you recognize this picture, but he's the one everybody's been saying all night, I recognized him immediately. So I don't know what that's all about. All right, and the third from the left?
Marty Phillips.
Nancy Seelig. Yeah. I wish she could have been with us here tonight. Okay, now how about the third from the right?
Marty.
It is Marty Bircher. Okay, now the second one from the right, you're going to have to go back as far as junior high because she did not graduate with us. She moved on to another school. Anybody know who that is? Yeah, say it again. Julie Pemberton. Yes, that's exactly who that is. And the munchkin on the right. Yeah, pretty much. All right. And then, notice the station wagon too. Isn't that kind of interesting how many of us got stuck in the back of a station wagon back in our day as well. Now, talking about origins of us, it's been 50 years. And I think it's time for me to finally reveal one of the earliest scandals of our class. It was 1958. We were all approximately 2 years old, at least I was. And in the hallway of what was our junior high, it was then Goshen High School. Well, a scandal occurred. It's so scandalous, it doesn't even want to change the Okay, you can do it. All right. And there it is. Yep, you see that? Now, what you really need to take a look at is this, the look on my face. Okay, now who would like to take a guess at whose head that is that you see the back of? 1958, Damascus, Goshen High School. Yes, it is John. Yep. It was John Kerr. Now, if you look at the first photo, you see that girl standing there with that smug look on her face? Well, that smug face was the face of my late sister. And Joan Easton was 13 years older than me, and her best friend just happened to be Lori Kerr. And the two of them decided, perhaps, that there was a destiny that they should bring about. Now, Mr. Kerr, wherever you are in the room, would you like to explain yourself, please?
No, thank you. But there were paparazzi available. So I was set up.
All right. So as you can see then, you know, we've been at this a very long time in terms of this closeness. But there's a lot of memories that hopefully we can share here tonight. And between Cheryl Scott and I, we are going to help us all talk about what some of those memories are. So I'm going to just kind of put a blank slide up here while we do some of the other talking. Anybody remember that? 74, right in the yearbook and the whole thing, that's what we used to write. Okay, so I'm going to leave that up there. If we could have the lights back up here so that you can actually see Cheryl. She has quite a few things that she'd like to help us remember. All right.
50 years. Unbelievable. I remember when my grandmother was going to her 50th, and I thought it was so cute that those old people wanted to get together for a party. Yeah. We've all gone our separate ways, pursued different interests and occupations. Some lived close, some lived far. But for a time, our lives were intersected as the West Branch class of 1974. This group of people, thrown together by the randomness of life, is our hometown. And like the lyrics of the country song say, thank God for hometowns and all the love that makes them go around. As the planning committee began collecting responses for tonight's gathering, it became apparent that a majority of the attendees had participated in music groups during their years at West Branch. It seems that music has been an important connector for a lot of us. Maybe not everyone, maybe you weren't a participant. Some of you were the observers, our audience. Whether participant or observer, music was a big part of the West Branch experience. And when music is at the heart of the school beats strong. We all know what it was to experience that warrior heartbeat. When asked what's your favorite memory of high school, some will say, that day I walked out that door. Check. While many young people can't wait to leave school, those in music ensembles are often a little sad for the final rehearsal and the final performances, because music is such a place of belonging and meaning. Tonight I have the privilege to guide us through a path of musical memories. The goal is to share the joys of those memories and maybe spark some recall of memories of your own. 2 disclaimers before we begin. I will not remember everything, and I will not remember it correctly. Fact, the committee thought it would be a nice idea for me to present tonight because I was president of the band. I didn't remember that I was president. But it's in the yearbook, so it's real. Second disclaimer, any names that are mentioned in the course of this presentation are included for context and for fun. No humiliation or exclusion is intended. So let's start at the very beginning. And everybody says, a very good place to start, yes. The West Branch school system was already overwhelmed with the baby boomer generation when our class hit. 5 elementary schools could not contain us. There were so many first graders that we had to be housed off campus. Did anyone here go to first grade in a church? The firehouse? The Masonic Lodge? That was, yeah. I know the class 73, some of them went to second grade or first grade in the church, but I think that covers us. At the elementary schools, the music teacher rolled her piano with music books piled on top from room to room. There was a Mrs. Griner and a Miss Miller who possibly permanently traumatized some boys when she didn't pick them for choir. If you want more details, talk to Craig Wheeler. Sorry, Craig. On behalf of all music teachers everywhere. And there was Mrs. Galpin, who is fondly remembered. We learned folk songs and seasonal songs and patriotic songs. We sang our way through the music books. We had an elementary choir. We discovered there's nothing quite like making music with other people. There were even little elementary musicals. I specifically recall a production of Hansel and Gretel. Some of us were angels, and some were gingerbread cookies, but I believe Laura Bigelow was the witch.
Nibble, nibble, mousey at the house.
It was in 5th grade that many of us had our first encounter with Mr. DeStefano and Mr. Ryman. We went to the high school to try our band instruments and began taking our lessons in the basements and broom closets of the elementary buildings. And we were never the same after that. Finally, we got to go to school together at the Damascus Junior High School. There was choir with Mrs. Plumes, and if you had completed the first blue book, there was band with Mr. Ryman, and more lessons in the basement. Mr. Ryman ran a tight operation and challenged the band musically. In 7th grade, he spent many hours practicing excerpts from The Music Man, which I have played that exact arrangement as an adult. We played it in 7th grade. Yes, you should be impressed with yourselves. And I'm pretty sure we played selections from Hair. At least I remember playing Aquarius, because there was some concern that it might be controversial for a concert. The band and choir performed a combined concert in May of 1970. The band played Overture in B-flat and a jazzy piece called Stormy. I have a recollection that a few of us played and sang solos. I'm pretty sure Marilyn had a solo, and Greg Phillips and Kathy Chain. The chorus sang spirituals and the girls' ensemble sang happiness from Charlie Brown. 2 kinds of ice cream and something like that. The concert concluded with a jazz band, 8th graders, jazz band, accompanying the choir singing Spinning Wheel. Even though rehearsals were demanding, Mr. Ryman had an easygoing personality. He didn't explode when bubbles came out of the French horn section. Talk to Bonnie Winters. But he expected us to work hard. And one year after we got a 2 at contest, he put a giant 2 in the back of the room to keep us in line for the next time. He sometimes gave us a break too. One day he allowed us to bring our own records to play, like a show and tell. Somebody brought Crimson and Clover. We listened to it over and over. The summer between junior high and high school was a time when many began to focus on their team sports. Some were excited about driving and getting cars and motorcycles, but the band kids were learning to swing. The football team had their freshman fundamentals, and so did the band. Mr. DeStefano, because he said people listen with their eyes, stood on the top of the roof over where the shop is now and supervised us as we learned to march 8 to 5, double time, pinwheels, diamond drills, to memorize music, maybe. To march and play at the same time, kinda. Most importantly, we learned to swing. We went home and practiced in front of the mirror. We practiced as we walked from the bus. We practiced as we walked the halls of the high school. We practiced that swing until we couldn't walk without a swing. The swing was the signature style of the West Branch Marching Band. When we had learned those fundamentals and when we were swinging, we made our first appearances at the Mile Branch Grange Fair, the Lisbon Fair, and the infamous Canfield Fair, where we nearly forgot everything we'd learned because we weren't on a lined football field, we were on a dirt track. When we had accomplished this thing called marching band, we got to wear the West Branch Swing Band jacket. We've got some jackets back there. I know everybody knows the day we got the jacket, whether it was the FFA jacket, your varsity jacket, the swing band jacket. That was a day to remember. The West Branch Swing Band was a powerhouse ensemble. If it's all about the bass, we had it with a solid tuba section. We had the beat. We had a polished percussion section that included girls. 9 majorettes led us down the field with flashing batons, tasseled boots, they're back there, and big smiles. Whether you were a participant or an observer, you felt the warrior pride as the band came swinging down the field, polished white bucks lifting high, playing Muskrat Ramble, and then off the field to Buckeye Battle Cry. And if you were there for homecomings, the tradition was to play Moon River for the Queen's Court. And there were the bus trips. We didn't have a stadium when we were freshmen. Our home games were in Salem. There were lots of bus trips. Raincoats hanging in the windows, because we always had to have the raincoats. Our freshman year was one of the most exciting trips as we went to Buffalo for an NFL game against LA. We were flabbergasted to see football star O.J. Simpson sitting on the bench, and we were thrilled that the stadium loved the West Branch Swing Band. Freshman year was exciting in the choir room too. Once again, our very large class was a challenge for the system. There were so many singers that Mr. Shaney divided into an upperclassman concert choir and an underclassman mixed chorus. But the mixed chorus of 120 members could not fit into the choir room at the same time. So they split into 2 classes, who didn't combine until 2 days before the concert when they performed Fum 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 and Do You Hear What I Hear? In spring of 1971, students transformed themselves into employees of the Worldwide Wicket Company as the music department performed How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Over 2,000 people attended the performances, and it was the first time a West Branch musical was reviewed by the Salem News. Songs that stuck in your head were I Believe in You and The Brotherhood of Man. The freshman year concluded with a concert where Mr. DiStefano dressed as a chef to conduct variations on a kitchen sink, and guest artists from the Cleveland Orchestra performed with the band. The marching band traveled to Washington, D.C. our sophomore year. I don't remember why we went to I just remember we went to Washington, D.C. Why did we go there?
One of his college friends was the director of the band there.
So we just went to play at
We
their
did,
school.
we did an exchange concert.
Thank you,
We
Jim.
played there, and then they came over in the spring.
I just remember the bus going to Washington, D.C. The concert band got superior ratings at state, and a lab jazz band was formed. It entertained all of us with charts like Red Phantom Rides Again, and Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is? The sophomore choir sang I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing. And the stage became the village of Anatevka as the music department presented Fiddler on the Roof. Two of the rebellious daughters were played by our classmates, Nancy Seeling and Deb Easton. The pit was exciting. I was in the pit because high school students sat next to string players from Kent State. So we felt like we were the pros. But the big story was the bottle dance. Mr. Shaney threatened the boys. No one was to drop their bottle. But oops, somebody dropped their bottle. Unforgettable songs were Matchmaker, If I Were a Rich Man, Sunrise, Sunset, and Do You Love Me? Our junior year, the concert band continued to earn superior ratings at state. The lab band was coming into its prime, and we cut a record. It's back there. The big trip of the year was when the lab band was one of four bands from the USA, selected to perform at the Jazz Festival in Montreux, Switzerland. They played Chicago and Blood, Sweat, and Tears charts, as well as their signature swing piece, In the Mood. Oklahoma, Where the Wind Comes Sweeping Down the Plain, was the musical of our junior year. Jim Davis was the Persian peddler. Ron Bandy was the dreamy dancer. You want to do some leaps for us over there? And Shelley Callista was the girl who just couldn't say no. The featured song for the girls in the company was Out of My Dreams. I guess they were dreaming about you. And the guys sang and danced to Kansas City, where they had those fancy French pictures. Band was a love-hate thing for many people. Many loved the socializing the most. There were meals at the Hippity Hop before the shows. There were gatherings at the Trucy's after the games. There were shoes lost forever in the muddy field. We wore white shoes. If you played football, John Reiser, you just heard about this. We wore white shoes, and when we got in the mud, it just sucked our shoe right out. You just went marching along, and you don't have a shoe anymore. I'm sure there are shoes still out there. There were band parties and choir parties and hay rides and bonfires. There were more bus trips and many romances that came and went with the bus. Some lasted forever. Congratulations. Mr. DiStefano sometimes was known to throw his baton at us, or other things. There was rehearsing in the heat, and the cold, and the rain, and the snow, and the mud, and the dark, and then rushing home to get back for the game. Everything changed our senior year when our beloved music teachers moved on. Mr. Bush came for choir, Mr. Sousa came and left, then Mr. Hafler came for band. The traditions continued under new direction. Young and Alive's arrangement of "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" was always a crowd pleaser. The FHA held a daddy date night, and Young and Alive provided the entertainment. The concert band got some new music like The Planets and Mr. Lucky. The lab band added Eli's Comin' to their repertoire. The pep band was the pulse of the pep rallies with their swinging version of Basin Street Blues. We were nuns and Nazis for the musical of our senior year. Randy Mosier was the handsome widowed captain. The problematic Maria was played by Nancy Seelan, and 3 of the 7 children were Deb Easton, Gabe Blackburn, and Jill Reichert. The halls were alive with the sound of music. Near to graduation in the spring of 1974, the song "Locomotion" was playing in the choir room, and someone started a train. I do believe it was that bad boy Dale Morcombe. The train moved from the choir room and into the hall, then down the hall, around the corner, into the cafeteria study hall. More riders joined as we did the locomotion past the office. The music had everyone on their feet and happy. That's what music does. Band is more than a band. Choir is more than a choir. Because of band and choir, we have memories and friends that will last a lifetime. Mr. DeStefano didn't just teach us how to play an instrument. Mr. Shaney didn't just teach us how to sing. They taught us how to believe in ourselves. They taught us the importance of hard work. They taught us to reach for the stars. John Reiser, he's dying for us to sing the alma mater. It's inside the front cover of your program. We should make it someone to sing this. I'm sitting by it, and that's all I heard is the alma mater, the alma mater. What's the first word? Let's bridge with our song we praise, honor to thee. May we ever with our hearts give loyalty. With every turn of day, we proudly say, our alma mater, West Branch, we stand by thee. Anybody have a memory that you need to shout out? You're just sitting there thinking, oh, she didn't say that.
Yeah, that was Rick Hardy who dropped that bottle.
Oh, it was Rick Hardy. I looked at Paul, sorry. That was Rick Hardy that dropped the bottle. There are so many, but Mr. DeStefano is 85 and healthy. Yeah.
85 and healthy.
85,
He
Mr.
used to call us heifers. Heifers? From the rooftop.
You heifers.
He called us heifers all the time.
He called Denise Doyle. You tell Denise and Gonsfrey and Doyle, circle that note and don't play it. Well, I wonder if Deb is ready. We could kill some time here. It's time for Deb. I wonder where she is. Can somebody take this down for me, please? So it's not on this, just set it on the floor. So, where is Deb?
No clue. Have
She was
no
right
idea.
here. Like this is her show. Where is she?
Deb. Debbie. She's behind the curtain. Oh!
What is this? What is this? What do I need? Were you in Paul's cooler over here?
I am 16.
No, you're not.
Going on 17. Seriously, don't you think that way?
Feels like it.
I mean, come on, it's hard to wrap your head around the actual chronological age here, right? I mean, that's just the way I think. I remember our teachers whom we made fun of. That was just yesterday, wasn't it? I mean, do you remember some of those teachers? I'm thinking of Mrs. Monette. Did you ever watch her while you were taking, yeah, I should have done that. I was chewing on her nails. The whole time you were taking that quiz, right? Okay. And then we had that substitute English teacher in junior high. I think her name was Miss Miller. And she always had this handkerchief stuffed down her hair. I don't know if you remember that, but she was always wiping things off, like this, and stuffing it back down in there again. And of course, we had no clue why she was doing that, but ladies, let's face it, we understand it all now. And then there was somebody, what was the fizz bang? Who the heck was that? Fitzpatrick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and what was the phrase?
Oh, good.
Boo his bang? Okay, all right.
Daisy made somebody.
Daisy made stuff.
Yeah.
Daisy Jane Steffenfetcher.
And Joe Swishy.
And Joe Swishies. Does anybody know what that meant? Okay, I don't really think I do. Okay, who else do you remember? Okay, now wait a minute. I heard that there was this episode at the Joint Vocational School where the bus was supposed to be driving away. But somehow the tires weren't either completely on the ground or on the bus at all. Somebody from JVS want to fill us in on that?
That was a Boo Egg class.
Oh, it was a VOAG class.
Yeah, it was Mr. Kraus.
Yeah, Vance Krause.
Vance Kraus, and somebody snuck out there during class, jacked the bus up, put blocks under the axle. We all went out, got in the bus to go back to school, and the bus wouldn't move.
Where's George Langford?
I just happened to hear.
That's great detail, right?
Okay, who else do you remember as a teacher and how we either harassed them or made fun of them? Anybody remember? Anybody? Okay, then here's a question for you. What was your Spanish name?
Señorita Barnett. Señorita Barnett.
Tim Greenawalt, what was your name, your Spanish name? Okay. Do I recall an episode in elementary school where the name was actually Big Chief Runny Nose? That wasn't you, it was somebody else. I don't know. Anyway, okay. What was your French name?
Jean.
Denise? Colette? That's Karen, Allison. Okay. All right. So you don't remember the time we were doing the Christmas concert or some concert, and we started into a number, and apparently we were off pitch or something, and in front of all of our parents and a gymnasium filled with people, Mr. Shaney stomped his foot and made us stop right at that moment and then realized what he did. Right? And he turned around and you know, apologized to the audience, and they turned around and looked at us. Like, don't make me do that again. I mean, you know, when you think about it, we really did, you know, have some very, very interesting teachers. Now, Mrs. Warren was not able to be here with us this evening, but apparently there was something about senior guys waiting for her during class to, you know, take a seat on the table. Aha! I got somebody back there who remembers that. Right? Mm-hmm. He's a leg guy, apparently. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway. Yeah, but we had, you know, we had some really good teachers. And we had some that, you know, showed a lot of film strips. Do you remember film strips? That was the day, wasn't it? Yeah, having a film strip. I just remembering all of this. I am 16, going on 17. Loudest class at pep rallies. Remember that? There was always a competition, and we always won. Mm-hmm. And then, after games, we danced with pal-lies. Hey, you try making this stuff rhyme. The Marauders were rocking their sound. Thank you, Scott Weingart. So, tell me, what do you remember? And Dave Gaynor, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Okay, so what songs do you remember dancing to at those dances? Stairway to Heaven. What else? Color My World, the theme of our prom. Right? Okay, what else? You forgot. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Lots of blood, sweat, and tears. Well, come on, you don't remember teenage angst and dancing very closely to slow songs and all of that. Is it too dramatic, or what is happening? I'm just, you know, trying to figure it out.
How about summertime?
Summertime.
Summertime, other than that?
Could you do it for us?
No. Those days are behind me.
I tried. Okay. All right. Well, then how about, you know, speaking of pep rallies, does anybody remember a particular incident? Oh, I don't know. It might have been when we were playing the Alliance Aviators. There was a certain person who you know, took center stage throughout the gym when we played the Aviators. Anybody remember? Tim Greenawalt. Mr. Greenawalt, would you be willing to do one more pass to the audience? grandfather, by the way. Just in case you were wondering. I remember before every pep rally, Karen Allison and I making the signs that were put up in the back of the gym. She would do the lettering and I would do the shading to make sure that they stood out. And then, do you remember when we were going for the, I think it was regionals, and we had the major pep rally, and we had actually 5 of the, whatever you called those things, hoops with the paper on them, they ran through, you know, we had 5 of those. It was a big thing, and Coach Fletcher got Karen and I out of class for like 2 days. And we were allowed to run to Alliance without having to ask anybody, you know. And we brought all kinds of food back for everybody. It was so much fun. I don't know how we ended up doing that, do you? Do you remember? Because I didn't make that up. I'm just saying. So, you know, we had a lot of those experiences in class. We had a lot of those experiences with all of our different kinds of activities. But remember, there were musicals, right? Cheryl mentioned musicals. Musicals and square dancing in the gymnasium. Do you remember that? Yes. And the comment was made about the bottle dancing, right? Sorry, Rick, we're bringing it up again, wherever you are. Okay, now I have a question for those bottle dancers. If you were to do that bottle dance again today, okay, if you recall, that required you to have the bottle on the hat, get down on your knees, and move forward. Okay, if you were to do that bottle dance again today, could you get back up? Okay, that's what I was kind of concerned about there, you know, as well. And how many of us still love to square dance? Still love square dancing? But you can't do it because you're now too dizzy? I mean, I don't know about you, but it, you know, it affects me that way. So the whole dizziness thing, it kind of just doesn't work. So somewhere along the line, it seems like we've gotten older. How did that happen? I mean, totally unprepared were we for joints of titanium. All right, so let's take a poll. How many people have either some kind of plastic or metal or something in you now that you didn't have before? All right, I got a filter. Okay, what else we got? 2 knees, what else we got? 2 hips. 1 hip.
Heart valve.
And a heart valve. Okay. Yes. 2 hips and a stent. Do I hear 4? Well, that's 4. Yes, Mr. McNeil?
My family's got 2 hips.
2 hips and 2 knees back in the family. Okay. All right, anybody beat 4? Okay, well then apparently the Bionic Man and or Woman Award, you can't really see it, but you know, they aged too. I've got a picture of them aged as well. It goes to the McMahon family. For their starring role in I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Bolts and Nuts. Somehow we got older, and I really don't know how that occurred. But have you ever been in the exam room and the doctor walked in and you just wanted to scream out, "Oh my God, you're Doogie Howser!" Only to discover that they're too young to know who that is. So I guess we don't need someone younger and sprier, telling us what to do. I mean, what is up with your grandchildren's generation? You know, I thought I'd put this up just to remind us all. I don't know if you can see all of those, but these are some of the things that will freak out your grandkids. Okay? The one on the left there is a car with a, oh, thank you, is a car with a clutch. Right? So I'm doing a training program the other day, and this lady says to me, so I sent one of my daughters out with the keys to start our old truck. She came back 5 minutes later and said, Mom, I can't start the truck. I can't find the button. And then, of course, who remembers what's in the center right there? The test pattern. Remember when television stopped? If only sometimes, right? Younger generations have absolutely no concept of the fact that television at one point went to bed at night, so the rest of us would do. Right? And on the upper right-hand corner, what's that?
45.
That's a 45. You put that in the center of a 45. And you know what your grandparents or your grandkids will say? What's a 45? Exactly. And then down on the right-hand side, it's a CB. Remember those? Breaker breaker, right? And then, well, that picture over there on the right, on my right, and total left for you, is early seatbelts. Mom's arm. Remember that? So tell me a little bit about your grandkids. Okay, I mean, we've been reminiscing, but tell me about them now. What don't they have a clue about? What was that?
Working attitude.
Working attitude. Hence the reason I do a training program on the generations in the workplace. Anyway, okay, what else don't they have a clue about?
A telephone dial.
A telephone dial. Okay, what else?
8-track tape.
Oh, 8-track tape, perfect. What else?
Party lines.
Yeah.
Party lines. Yes. Did everybody have, and a what?
A bar of soap.
Oh, a bar of soap. Yes. Well, but no, that's come back around, you know, because that's like something you go to specialty stores for, right? Okay, what else don't they get?
Dial phone booth.
Phone booth, yes, yes. Anything else you can think of? They have no clue.
Paper map.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Maps.
Oh, paper maps. Yes, being able to read a map. Absolutely. Now here's a question for you. How many of you have helped your grandchildren learn the new math? Why are there so many heads shaking? No, it's not. I mean, you know, this is what's known as the bias of experience, right? We had to memorize the multiplication table. Why can't they? It created character in us. But that's the bias of experience, and we all have it. We have said we had to walk to school barefoot through the snow, backwards, uphill, both ways. Why don't they? And they have said things like, Grandma, just push the button on the computer. It won't delete the entire internet. So, I guess the best way to summarize all of this is to say, we are 16, going on 17. So that I spent part of life's journey with you. So enough of this craziness. It's time for us to get together and talk a little bit again. A couple of really quick announcements. First of all, please do not forget about Paul Halen is hosting us again tomorrow between 1 and 4.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Here, the address is wrong if you're putting it in your GPS. It's like, I don't know. But it's 3954, not 3677 or whatever it is now.
Okay. It was 39 what now?
3954.
3954. As far as we know, he could be
Right in
giving
there?
us,
Oh, okay, he said it's right in this book.
Yeah, it is.
it's right in that book, 3954. Either that or he's giving us a bogus address and he's already moved, you know? Oh, I'll show up.
Bernie's going on a boat parade tomorrow, and I thought I might sneak up.
Okay. Okay, so tomorrow at Paul Halen's, bring a snack to share, BYOB, maybe a chair if you'd like, if you have a few thrown in the back of your SUV, that might not be a bad idea. But I think we've got that handled, right, Nancy? We've got that part handled, okay? So don't forget about that for tomorrow. Secondly, the picture that we took earlier has been taken out and it has been already produced for us. And so in the back of the room, if you paid for a picture, you can pick that up before you leave. Thirdly, anybody who donated anything for the display back there, I think Bill Wolfgang would really appreciate it, and if Kathy Appleton Wolfgang does not bring all of that back into the house. So if you could, you know, she even labeled it where it came from. Your name's right on there. Please take that with you if you would, please. And last but not least, we have promised to be out of here by 10 o'clock, and that doesn't give us a whole lot more time to mingle. But please do so. Yes, Judy. Oh, yeah, thank you. We knew she was going to have to do that. Mark Fleury put together that beautiful stained glass back there, and so those of you who signed up for the drawing here, we're going to make a pick for this right now and see who has it. And the winning name is somebody because I don't have my glasses. Miss Darlene. All right, so I'm going to go figure out who I want to be when I grow up. The rest of you, please mingle, 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 and hug and do all those kinds of things that we do after 50 years. See you again in 5.